still people flooding in, apparently it's popular to live, but we better get going anyway. Welcome tonight to the Old Abbey Lecture Theatre at King's College London, and tonight's ICSR debate. Let's begin with the proceedings, as it promises to be a fascinating and hopefully a lively debate between two foreign policy heavyweights and experienced negotiators from the UK and the United States, respectively, who we're delighted to welcome King this evening, along with your audience. My name is John Bew. I'm a lecturer in the War Studies Department here and a co-director of ICSR. I'm happy to say this is going to be the first in a series of debates on issues relating to violence, political violence, radicalisation, and terrorism, and public policy. The next we have is a response to the recent speech by David Cameron on multiculturalism in Britain. So stay tuned for that. The question we posed for tonight's debate, as you know already, is should we talk to Al-Qaeda, which is of course a question which has huge potential controversy attached to it, and is perhaps, I think it's fair to say, a question which wouldn't really have been asked 5, 6, 7 years ago. But rather than aim for controversy and dispute over substance, I think what we want to do this evening was to aim for speakers who can speak to the question with subtlety and moderation, but also, I think, crucially, with direct, they'll disagree, from direct experience. So not only have both our speakers published extensively on issues of foreign policy, diplomacy, negotiations, and statecraft, they are also each in their own right prestigious and heavyweight practitioners with extensive experience of government and foreign affairs in particular. Speaking first, and I'll hand over to you in a moment, is and in favour of the motion, if you like, we're delighted to welcome Jonathan Powell. He is currently, among other things, Senior Advisor to the Centre for Humanitarian Dialogue in Geneva, and also Senior Advisor to the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. He's doing lots of other stuff, but I picked two things to do which have dialogue attached to their name. He had a lengthy career in the British Foreign Office since the early 1980s, and played a central role in negotiations around the world, including the return of Hong Kong and German unification, before becoming the political officer at the British Embassy in Washington in 1991. Jonathan is, of course, best known for his role as Chief of Staff to Tony Blair from his election as leader of the Labour Party in 1994 until his resignation as Prime Minister in 2007, meaning that he essentially spent more than 10 years at the heart of government and was particularly involved in foreign affairs during those 10 years. During that time, also, as well as being involved in foreign policy, from 1997 to 2007, he was chief negotiator in Northern Ireland, and he played a pivotal role in the successful peace process there. Since leaving government, he has incredibly already published 2 books. The first on his experiences as a negotiator, Great Hatred, Little Room, Making Peace in Northern Ireland, and the second, more recently, on statecraft and diplomacy, appropriately named The New Machiavelli, How to Wield Power in the Modern World. And I should say, as a plug, that both books are available outside and Jonathan's publishers here. I also say to my students, of course, you know that both of those books are under recommended reading. Speaking after Jonathan, we are equally delighted to welcome Professor Mitchell Reiss, who is currently president of Washington College in Maryland in the United States. From 2003 to 2005, Mitchell served as director of the Office of Policy Planning at the US State Department under Colin Powell. In December 2004, towards the end of that tenure, he was asked to serve as the President's special envoy to the peace process in Northern Ireland with the rank of ambassador, which he did until February 2007. So a shorter phase in Jonathan's involvement in Northern Ireland, but also a crucial period towards the end of negotiations. Mitchell has served on the National Security Council and the Council of Foreign Relations, and in 2007 he received the State Department's Foreign Affairs Award for Public Service. Prior to becoming President of Washington College, he was a diplomat in residence at the College of William and Mary, where he was also Vice Provost for International Affairs. And like Jonathan, he's a well-respected, well-published author. He's written 3 books on nuclear proliferation, but his most recent book, and really the book that's most relevant for tonight, is Negotiating with Evil, When to Talk to Terrorists. Now, there are not copies outside, but that is available on Amazon and all other booksellers. The format this evening is as follows. Jonathan will speak first for 10 to 15 minutes, followed by Mitchell. Then we'll allow both speakers to debate no vote, so that we hope it's going to be relatively informal and freewheeling, if you like. So without any further ado, let me invite Jonathan Powell to the lectern. Jonathan, should we talk to all about it?
Well, thank you very much indeed, John. Thank you for that kind welcome. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight with you and Mitchell. I fear you may not get as much disagreement as you'd like, because I suspect Mitchell and I agree on quite a lot of the points we're going to be discussing. But I would like to start with a tribute to Mitchell and what he did for Northern Ireland, for the United Kingdom, as the special representative, which was extraordinarily helpful in the last stages of the negotiation. And I think we all owe a great debt of gratitude from that point of view. I also recommend reading his book. I just finished it on my iPad, and we just come back from San Francisco. It's an excellent book, and I particularly recommend buying the electronic version, which will get a bigger cut off it if you use. A few years ago, I caused a little bit of controversy by saying that we should speak to Hamas, to Taliban, and to Qaeda. And John has deliberately chosen the hardest case for me to prove, so that's fair enough. Let me divide my comments into three sections. Firstly, where I think Mitchell and I would agree that it is sensible to talk to terrorists. Secondly, where I think we will disagree, because I think basically we should all be prepared to talk to terrorists, and he doesn't agree with that. And lastly, why I think in particular we should talk to Qaeda, which is the hardest case, as I say, to try and prove. Well, let me take the things that we agree on first. I think it is, in my view, always sensible to be prepared to talk to your enemy, even though it may be extremely distasteful to do so. We were criticised in Northern Ireland for talking to the men with guns, but actually, unless you talk to the men with guns, it's very hard to persuade them to stop. If you try and just ignore them, you're not going to get very far. We were accused also at the same time of undermining the moderates, undermining the SDLP by talking to Sinn Féin and to the IRA effectively. In fact, that isn't the case. The SDLP made it clear pretty much from the beginning of our time in government from 97 onwards, they would not be prepared to go ahead without Sinn Féin. Had we been able to, in the metaphor we used, have the train leave the station with the SDLP on board, we would have happily done so. We would have built from the centre with David Trimble and the LTD Unionist Party and the SDLP, but we couldn't because the SDLP said they would not be prepared to participate without Sinn Féin included. So, in my view, it's clearly sensible to talk to men with guns. The points that Mitchell makes in his book, I would also agree with. If nothing else, by talking to terrorists, you're going to stop them killing. You're going to make it harder for them to go back to killing. The 1974 ceasefire of the IRA, that Mitchell talks about in the book at some length, was regarded by the IRA as one of the biggest disasters they had. They thought it was undermined them, made it harder for them to go back to fighting, allowed the government to pay them. So if nothing else, it's worth trying to stop the terrorists killing for a period of time. I made a little radio series last summer on talking to terrorists, and as part of that I interviewed a former leading member of the Tajik terrorist group that had based itself in Afghanistan, supported by the Taliban. And he said to me that actually when he sat down with the government forces for the first time in Tajikistan, it just made it a whole lot harder for them to carry on killing them. I sat across the table from them that the human contact of seeing the people we've been fighting made it much, much harder to go back. And lastly, the point that Mitchell makes in his book, the intelligence argument for doing so. You understand your enemy a whole lot better if you